Tonight's podcast is brought to you by NPR's newest radio program, Sensations of the Black Abyss.
Reality shattered when a round home revealed to be square. A godly turtle taking us on a celestial voyage. The themes in tonight's episode is about the hollow truths that are told to the sheep about how our planet is actually round. Hello, Abyss fans. It's 12:30 and I'm Jerk McCock, back with another sensational episode of Sensations of the Black Abyss. Tonight's episode will be supported by tracks from Angela Rosenthal, such as Spherical Damnation, Milton Hembre's Tortoise Dreams, Randall Stevenson's American space hymn Cubicle, and Ramsey with Andromeda. But first, we're going to hear from our guest of tonight, Mr. Gerald Henry Hensworth, in his brand new album, Flattened Truth, a paradigm shift in the cosmic mind. It's sensational to have you here with us, Gerald.
It's quite an honor to be here, Jerk.
We're glad to have you, and your new album is absolutely sensational, I must say. What was your inspiration behind the new concept album?
Yes, Jerk. I was viewing an abstract art piece in Jenison Valley, California, that really pulled at my preconceptions of reality. It made me wonder, what if NASA was really lying to us? What if the Hindu religion got it right with Akupara? What if our spherical preconceptions were flattened with a new truth?
That's wonderful, Gerald. The haunting melodies and unchained rhythms on the new album made me think back to Philip Van Douthat's early masterpiece work, Tonight the Stars Cuckold. I would like to know, how do you feel the normal person will respond to your latest work?
I don't believe the average person can handle a mental revelation such as this, unlike you or I. This album may help awaken your inner child, the child that questioned everything and wasn't afraid to change his beliefs.
Well, Gerald, you can consider my third eye simply awoke now. I would like to know, as being a prominent figure in the space music communities you are, what do you feel the current state of space music actually is?
Well, Jerk, most current space music relies heavily on manifesting quantum permutations in your auditory cerebral cortex. This allows for a heightened state of communion with the music, but it blocks the inner machinations of the pineal gland from activating. I think more artists like me will begin to use string theory in their music to give the mind a complete reinvigoration to lead to a superior state of consciousness.
That's some absolutely transcendental stuff there, Gerald. Glad to hear it. And we're actually going to hear a track now. The first track from your new album, Flattened Truth, a paradigm shift in the cosmic mind, which is entitled Heliocentrism Capitalism. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Inspired by the ways capitalism is taking advantage of the uneducated masses and their heliocentric model of the universe.
It's very difficult to pronounce because it's very difficult to understand, I must say. But that's the job of us here at Sensations of the Black Abyss. And you heard it there, Abyss fans. Get ready to stimulate those pineal glands.
It's our favorite time of week, hopefully yours. It's the Good Ole Gamers podcast, back in action again. It's episode 98, July 16th, 2017. How y'all doing? I'm Lyle McClendon. I'm joined as always with Brandon Gentry.
Go fuck yourself, space fans.
Space fans out there fucking yourselves.
I love that. That's the greatest NPR show to listen to. I think it comes on Sunday nights now at midnight.
Yeah.
It's the late show. How are you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing.
We've been away from a week. Bunch of Tom fuckery prevented me from recording last weekend.
Happens to the best of us.
I'm about ready to Well, I might not ought to say that on air, so it could not be held as evidence against me if anything goes wrong. So I will keep my mouth shut. All that shit. Yeah, we're back with another episode. Don't really know what to say. We're fucking, well, as of this episode, we're one episode away from the big numeral 100 celebration.
You know, technically we've had more than 100, but
Yeah.
technicalities are for assholes. So
This will be the official 100th. I actually, I was going to talk to you about it. We're going to try to do it in 2 weeks, but I think for our 100th, I think we need to try to do like a recap of our entire, up to this point. I want to get Duncan on with us, of course. All the vault dudes, old bitch Leslie. And
David the bitch Leslie.
Yeah. Haven't heard from you in a while, motherfucker.
I know.
We miss you. But y'all fixing to be beckoning the call, though, because we got some, nothing solid as date-wise yet, but there is another Game Fest coming. We can go ahead and confirm you that.
Yep.
It's in the planning stages.
We're going to shoot for a 2-day event.
Yeah. We'll try to shoot for maybe like a Friday and Saturday night event. Maybe we're aiming for late October. If we can't get late October, we'll do it in November. It's going to be a fall event, though. Like I said, 2 days. We're working out all the kinks and details and all that shit as of now, but
I think it's going to be a lot better this time.
Yeah, I think last year, because for people that aren't local and familiar with us and familiar with Game Fest, we moved venues last year. And I think that was a lot of it. It's because being in that, last year or the year
we
before.
also lost Vault.
Yeah, exactly.
Vault was a big advertiser
That was
for
a
us.
big deal. We learned kind of what not to do as far as like advertising and as far as Game Fest goes from last year. So I think we're going to have a little bit better success this year.
Yep.
We're actually working. Brandon has started a Facebook group. We're going to put a fucking crew together this year. It's going to be like the official crew.
Yep.
Which we pretty much had last year. If it wouldn't been for like Brad and David and all those guys,
Nick was a huge help.
Nick, yeah, Alex, Chasen helped us. Wouldn't been for those dudes, we've been up shit creek. So big applause for you guys still, and yes, hopefully y'all be willing to help us for pizza and shit this year. We're gonna try to. We're rigging something up for people that do help and bring. Since we are doing a 2-day event, which will make the workload on Brandon and I
so much
lot easier. Because setting up and breaking down in the same day is absolute hell.
It is.
Like last year, we started at 5 o'clock in the morning, and literally Brandon did not drop the fucking U-Haul off till daylight the next day.
Which we really started like midnight.
True that.
Then
yeah,
we took a nap
we
and
went
came
up there.
back.
We loaded. I forgot about that. We could get in. They let us in the building at midnight, and we started loading in at midnight. Got partially set up, and then come back at like fucking 5.
Yeah.
And got just cranking all morning long. So
yeah, I think Friday we'll do like probably noon to midnight, and then Saturday might be noon to midnight again, or it might be noon to 10.
Yeah. Just depending. I know the thing we're talking about, like people helping, and especially if people like bring games, especially arcade cabinets. We're looking for anybody that's got a cabinet. We're going to do like a VIP thing.
Couple hours and nothing but contributors.
Yeah. No public, none of that. We might drink a couple beers, play some arcade games. Just relax a little bit. That'll actually, I think, be a good time for me and you for once to actually get to enjoy Game Fest. Because me and Brandon have literally stayed on our fucking feet. Which, we got to play some stuff last year.
Last year was more enjoyable for us than the first one, because the first one was just
chaos. Problems. Like I said, for anybody unfamiliar with those events, the first year, the Civic Center's power is just not equipped for that kind of shit.
No.
We threw a breaker how many times? 4 times, I think.
At least
the
4
first
times.
one. And we threw one once last year and was able to weed out real quickly what didn't work. So, that's cool. We hopefully, too, like I said, we ain't made nothing. I mean, it's official we're doing a Game Fest, but as far as events entitled to Game Fest and all that shit, nothing's official yet.
If you have any ideas or suggestions, let us know. We're wondering about whether to do Smash Brothers Melee versus Smash Brothers U. I'm kind of leaning towards Melee at this point.
We kind of thought about, we are a retro gaming thing, and, we thought about pretty much trying to keep it retro. There's interest in the newer games, always is, of course, but last year, it all depends on turnout and public opinion. We'll probably end up doing what we're going to do, of course, what we think is going to be best.
Yeah.
For, to draw a crowd of people in, but I don't know. We're really like tossing around ideas about doing some older school tournaments and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely want to get a lot gun gallery set up. Just like a line of TVs, nothing but lot gun games. And everything from, NES and Sega Master System up to like Dreamcast and PlayStation.
Most definitely. We're kind of wanting to try to maybe have like a small indie corner set up. We're working out the logistics of that right now.
We might. We gotta discuss details. I don't want to put them on the spot, but there's a chance we have the developers of Anathema to come up there and demo their game out. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That'd be really cool. Like I said, if anybody like that listens to us local knows of where maybe to snag some cabinets for the weekend or something, or maybe even any sort of sponsorship type shit, let us know.
Yeah,
because we're looking at every outlet possible right now.
Yep.
So keep that shit in mind.
There's been big changes with the website. We moved hosts, both for the podcast themselves and the site. And so if you have any problems with that, let me know. Everything seems to have went over really well with that. You'll notice on the iTunes and whatever, all the podcast feeds, I actually cut it down to it'll always be the last 50 episodes. Because I feel like before that isn't a very accurate representation of what we're putting out now.
Yeah,
like they're still on the side if you want to search them out, but random people coming across the podcast on these podcast apps, a lot of them start with episode 1, and episode 1 does not remotely show what we're doing now.
That's something I really want to kind of do with episode 100. Is maybe if we could do like a, I don't know, like a 5-minute montage or something that kind of just, because we've evolved. I know me and you can see it, and I know like our longtime listeners can tell it. Like the podcast has evolved, tremendously since episode 1. Like just the humor's gotten a lot darker.
Yeah,
and the sponsor skit
that's really came up.
That's become like
audio quality is really improved, and we're pretty soon. I think we're going to be doing video. I got some stands and stuff for our cameras, and I'm going to start a whole new YouTube channel. Get rid of the old audio only shit and start throwing out videos on it, and that'll be pretty cool.
We're fixing to up our game big time. I'm looking at some ways to start promoting our shit a lot more. I'm even thinking about maybe entering us into some of the cons and shit. It wouldn't hurt just to have a table set up to let people know we exist.
Yeah.
But if you're listening, we exist, and we heart you so much that, dude, we will totally give you a reach around if we fuck you from behind completely. But on that note, I guess, we can always come back to Game Fest shit, and that's technically news, so let's go ahead and tell you a little bit more news. I don't have just a shit ton, but I did.
We need to get that shock mount fixed.
Yeah, bad. I don't have a shit ton, but Kingdom Hearts 3, they showed some shit at the Disney D23, the Disney trade show, essentially. It's got a Toy Story level on it. It looks really cool. Because I'm a huge fan of Toy Story. So.
I'm not a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts, though. That's one game that made me want to blow my fucking brains out ever since I saw the concept of it.
I've never played them, but I seen the Toy Story
I'm not
thing.
gonna
And I
say
was like,
they're-
oh, that's badass.
I'm not going to say they're shitty games, because they obviously aren't. They got a big following. It's just the combination of Disney cartoons and Final Fantasy. I'm just no.
It's just Disney's arm and everything else. Because I think the new Kingdom Hearts 3 supposedly is going to have Marvel and Star Wars cameos in it.
Yeah,
because you got to think that Marvel and Star Wars technically are officially Disney now.
I know people are going to shit all over me for that, but I'm too hung up on that fact. I remember back when that shit was announced, I made like an old picture of like Tigger, the tiger, from Winnie the Pooh, Tigger holding a flat cannon. I'm like, this is what this is going to lead to. This is retarded as shit.
I mean, you make a valid point. Well, fuck that then. Fuck Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, fuck it.
There's some new flashcards coming out for Game Boy and Game Boy Color that actually have a save state feature built into them.
No, sweet.
I think EverDrive is the one making them. It's just a newer model.
I want me some EverDrives, but man, you pay for them, especially the N64 one. That's about $130. But
I actually seen an article the other day though that was talking about it. The article title was "Are Flash Drives Killing Your Console?" And it was talking about how pretty much like unlicensed shit, like I don't guess it works within the parameters of what the hardware is supposed to work with, and it said over time it can like kill your console essentially. Which time itself is going to kill your fucking console. So
they're already a ticking time bomb of death. And I just wonder how many people are attributing normal wear and tear to EverDrives. Kind of like how you remember. I'm sure we're not the only ones that encountered this. Parents growing up did not want you to hook your video games up to a TV because they were convinced
it'll tear the TV up.
Tear the TV up. No, it won't. But because some people's TVs got tore up while a video game was hooked up to it, they go, oh,
they automatically attribute it to the console.
Yeah, and that's probably a lot of the same.
I remember like the whole everybody back when we were kids like, you don't leave that Nintendo on that TV and not play it, it'll burn that damn screen. And I'm like, well, it will if you're using a fucking 1970s like tube picture here.
Or you leave it on for like 20 days or something.
No shit. Well, that's your fault, Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't really buy that, but I mean it might.
Well, I mean, bit rot's a thing, you don't hear everybody that's hoarding up fucking 15 and 20 consoles talking about that shit. That's going to be more of a problem, I think, than running a fucking flash card in your console.
Oh, yeah. Eventually, shit like that's going to be the only way to play your shit. And, whatever.
People can bitch about the ROMs and archival and all that, but, I mean, if you want to play that game in 60, 70 fucking years, that's how you're going to have to do it, more than likely.
In that time, the only way you're going to be able to play quote-unquote originals is getting the Chinese knockoffs off like AliExpress. I've noticed they're starting to put out N64 repros and stuff on there.
Oh, really?
They're a bit too expensive now because
that's probably a new thing.
Yeah, right. They're almost as expensive as getting the real deal. I'm like, why would I do that? But
be cool if they put out some good like multi-carts or something. They might not be able to do that with a 64. I don't know.
But yeah, that's the way it goes, man. There's definitely a countdown to doomsday on all this.
Everything has its expiration date.
Yep.
That shit ain't no different.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I know people that didn't believe me when I told them. I'm like, CDs rot over time, and I'm like, no, they don't. I'm like, plastic doesn't rot. And I'm like, yes, it fucking does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, read a goddamn book. Like, that shit breaks down over time.
Yep. Plastic is obscenely slow, but it will. And it doesn't take much to fuck with that data on there, is a thing. It might still look like a perfectly good CD, but it's not going to be perfectly good.
Yeah. Stick it out in the sun for 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
Run it across a magnet. Well, the magnet won't fuck with a CD.
No. I watched some more Super Mario Odyssey gameplay, and one big thing I noticed was there's no game over.
Nathan told me that the other day. He said it's impossible to get a game over.
Yeah, you just lose coins. I don't know how I feel about that. From what I saw, it looked like it might not be too bad. I don't know what you use coins for in the game. If they're important, then I could see that, being a proper punishment. From what I've read, they kind of wanting to emphasize like trying new shit and not being afraid to die. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I just got a sour taste in my mouth.
You can still do that with the old Marios, though. I mean, they give you game overs, but you still get fucking... Well, I mean, as of like Super Mario and 3 and on, you still get unlimited continues.
Yeah. I don't know. The white Tanuki suit in the last Mario
that still
kind of
got your nuts chafed on it. That was pretty fucking lame. I mean, I understand it for like little kids, but they should have just had a separate mode for little ass kids. It's like, ages 13 or fucking, are you a little kid? If so, click this goddamn button. Click this mushroom. Play.
But one thing I did notice in that gameplay video, besides some of the cool open world shit, like one of the things I saw was two ladies doing a jump rope, and like you could jump the rope for an achievement or whatever. But I noticed one of the little gimmicks is like you use the hat a lot, obviously, and you use the hat to kind of like affix Mario to certain objects. And there's one part
body snatch them too.
Yeah. Well, that's not what I'm getting to. But like, there's one part where there's a zip line, and they use the hat to I guess transfix Mario to the zip line, and like all of a sudden it was just a scene from the movie Shocker where he becomes electricity and travels through the end of the zip line. It's had like Megadeth playing in the back of my head.
Fucking Wes Craven's just sitting there smiling big. That was Shocker was a Wes Craven movie. FYI. I actually like the dinosaur. I'm curious to see how the T-Rex thing's gonna fit into the whole mesh of it all.
Yeah.
I just imagine like it'd be funny if somebody took that Super Mario Odyssey trailer and recut it, and it's like Quentin Tarantino's Super Mario Brothers, and that T-Rex at the end is like Yoshi. It's like all big badass remake Yoshi. It's a goddamn T-Rex. Be kind of cool.
I saw that eBay was shutting down the SNES Mini scalpers.
Really?
But there's an asterisk there. One, they were throwing the pre-orders up for over $300, which tells you what's coming. I hope the scalpers and the dumbasses who buy from them lose their ass on this. I hope Nintendo puts out enough that they stop doing this on every fucking release.
Well, Nintendo always talks about how they want to cater to the fans and shit. Like, this is one chance they got to actually kiss some ass.
I better be able to walk into a store
and just buy one off the fucking shelf.
Yeah. But there's a clause on eBay that you can't list a pre-order for more than 30 days away. So that's how they're shutting them down. So once a 30-day mark hits, that shit's going to be there.
Got you.
But still, I'm glad to see them shutting some of it down.
Yeah, and just not letting them fucking get by with murder like they've been doing. That, we bitch about scalpers and resellers a lot on here. But the whole fucking the NES Classic thing,
Nintendo created that.
Really brought to light some scumbag fuckery.
And Nintendo's fuckery with that kind of led to my next news topic. There are Chinese NES Classic repros out there. You can get them for $30 on the AliExpress. They look pretty close to the same thing. I watched a couple of reviews up. Right now. The shell was almost identical. The front of it, instead of like Nintendo Entertainment System, it just says Entertainment System. The first and second player controller ports are swapped. The power button and reset button are swapped. And also it puts out just a standard like AV signal instead of HDMI, which to me ain't no big deal. I honestly like seeing that over HDMI for those old games. The controllers I saw were actually decent, but they're loaded with 500 games, and like over 200 of them are duplicate games, and half of the original games on there are hacks and bullshit games. There's not that many great titles on there. But Nintendo created this vacuum in the market for this shit to come up. And there's going to be a lot of people out there buying this shit because they think it's a legitimate one. Because it looks close enough that if you just like bought shit because you didn't really pay attention, you just want to get something for your grandkids or something, that would trick you.
Yep.
If they had better games on it, I would actually buy it. But the 500 shitty games,
yeah,
that's a huge turn off to me. I don't even mind the backwards ass power button and controller ports, but the game list sucks. When the 500 games has less good games than the NES Classics 30 and 1, that's a huge fucking turn off.
No shit, dude. I'm telling you, when that SNES Classic drops, that's going to be some more of a fucking shitstorm unleashed. I really hope they produce enough to make some people lose their ass off. I do too, man, because that just... You know it's going to be worth money, but there's all these pricks out here that think this motherfucker's going to be worth like $2,000.
Yeah.
You know, and... It just... That, like, the NES Classic, that really brought out the shittiness, like, in reseller scum.
Yeah.
That goddamn woman in Coleman bought all 6 of them. Her whole fucking family, each member of her family got one. And they only sent 6 of them. And I'm like, that's bullshit. You know, they ought to at least, like, one per fucking family, period.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got 2 controllers, one the fucking... I mean, it's obvious. They ain't buying 6 of them to go home and play them.
Yeah.
They're buying 6 of them because they're about to be like, oh, man, we're about to make Daddy some methamphetamine money.
You know, I'm not suggesting this seriously, but if I just came across a news article that said someone was like setting up Craigslist meetings to come with these scalpers and just killing the fuck out of them, that'd be all right by me.
That sounds like a movie idea.
It sounds like a badass movie idea.
In a world where Earthbound costs $200.
That'd be badass.
The solution to scalpers is here. He is the scalper of scalpers. The scalper.
Well, this guy's got an NES Classic for only $25. I'm going to go meet him. I'm going to sell it for $198,000.
The scalper appears.
That'd be awesome.
God, we're going to get in trouble.
I'm going to write that down.
If you can't even fucking retweet a GIF of wrestling without getting in trouble now.
Yeah, I seen that. We're like, you talking about the CNN thing? Where they're like...
Who's promoting violence? Bullshit. I don't give a shit.
It's fucking wrestling.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was a fucking wrestler. Vince McMahon is one of his best friends or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Our president has been stone cold stunned, for fuck's sakes. Like,
yeah. God, he did the worst at selling the stunner. Linda McMahon did better at selling the stunner. Have you ever watched that?
Yes.
It was awful.
Everything he does is awful. Have you seen his fucking, like... Have you seen his Trump Steaks advertisement?
I haven't.
Man, look that up for a good time sometime.
Oh, yeah, never mind. I was thinking something new. Yeah, the old, like the Vegas-style steaks or whatever.
It's the finest beef that Trump can buy. It's probably people. Where's Charles Heston to be like, Trump Steaks is people? Oh, motherfucker. That's about literally. I didn't have much more news.
I saw Half-Life got a patch after being released for 19 years. So
I'm playing Half-Life right now, so maybe I should download that patch.
It just fixes a handful of crashes, nothing stupendous, but it's nice to see that Valve's still thinking about Half-Life some.
Well, they're like somewhere out there, some kid in his mother's basement has like physically fused to his chair waiting on Half-Life 3, and he's still playing Half-Life. And they're like, if we put an update on Half-Life, it's almost like giving that kid an extra oxygen tank to live on. They're just, we just let him know, hey, we're still thinking about Half-Life, even though you're a freak of nature that is physically melded to your chair now.
You're going to be a boss in Half-Life 3.
Yeah. Come on down to Valve. In like 45 years from now, we might scan your body.
I did see a nice picture that was being retweeted. You know the old Valve symbol of like the bald guy with the
valve in his eye?
Yeah, and there's one where it's on the back of his head.
Oh, yeah.
The bald guy.
Yeah.
There was one where it's like Valve in 2017, and it's like a bald guy with a fidget spinner on the back of his head.
Freeman, is that a fidget spinner?
I gotta say, using the gravity gun with a fidget spinner to like decapitate people. I'm gonna have to go make that a mod if that hasn't been done
There's
already.
just like a little kid at Black Mesa for no apparent reason with his fidget spinner. Gordon Freeman just picks it up, puts it in the gravity gun, and just blows the little kid to meat. I thought he had a hatchling on his head.
There's a trailer out now for Shakedown Hawaii. Have you seen that? It's done by the guys who made Retro City Rampage.
I will probably dig that then.
It looks pretty damn good. It's done with a little bit more modern graphics, like SNES style, 16-bit graphics. And it features, the run-and-gun GTA style gameplay, but also features like real estate purchasing and like investments and all kinds of shit. Basically, the whole goal of the game is to run all the businesses out of Hawaii. And it looks very fucking comical. Like I saw a mini game where he was doing like a thigh master.
Oh, that's awesome.
It looks so badass. You gotta look up Shakedown Hawaii and watch that trailer.
I'll check that out tonight. I'll make a note of that now. I'll probably like it because I really liked Retro City Rampage a lot. All
the fucking douchebags on the internet saw like the main character and like how he's a real estate mogul and he's a big time millionaire and stuff. They're like, "Oh, is that a fucking Donald Trump reference?" I'm like, who gives a fuck? God damn. You can't even get adjacent to Donald Trump without pissing people off.
I know, man.
Whether you like him or not, he's just chill the fuck out.
I'm real glad that I seen a interview with Trey Parker and Matt Stone the other day, and they said they were not going to reference Donald Trump at all in this new season.
Good. They
said they're going back to like Butters getting thing put in his ass, like because he was like, "That's our bread and butter." He's like, "Not." He's bread like everybody, yeah, bread and butters. He's like everybody makes Donald Trump shit now. Yeah. It's just like people need to figure out something else to bitch about.
Yeah,
because I mean. It ain't gonna do you no good. It don't matter. What's done is done. Get the fuck over it. It sucks for everybody. We all gotta deal with it together.
Yep. Who cares?
Some news, random news I did have real quick. Bit of sad news that happened today. George Romero passed away today.
Man,
77.
I wonder if he's gonna come back anytime soon.
I hope so. I hope he's out at a farmhouse right now, like trying to kick the screen door in. They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Yeah.
That sucks, though. George Romero, rest in pieces. He would have wanted it that way.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, it does suck.
Yep.
No.
George Romero is responsible for a lot of shit. Zombies, of course, but.
It's been.
Look at.
He was slightly on my mind here recently because, I've been playing that Secret World Legends. And in the first big area of the game, first 3 zones, is overrun with zombies, and if you kill like 10,000 of them, you get a title, Romero.
Nice.
So,
well, George Romero actually directed the Japanese Resident Evil 2 commercial.
Really?
It had, I remember this from a Game Pro I had back in the day. It never came here stateside, but the Brad Renfro, the actor, he was from Alabama. He died of overdose like some years back. He was in like Tom and Huck. He was in that movie and A Time to Kill and shit like that. Anyways, he played Leon Kennedy in that commercial. George Romero directed it. So, if not for George Romero, who knows what your modern day zombie would look like?
No clue.
No clue. Well, I guess that's it for news. We're at that time of the episode where we get to the meat and potatoes of the episode.
The bread and butters, if you will.
If you will. So what are we talking about tonight, Brandon?
Well, I haven't, I've been playing Blackthorn on the SNES. I haven't gotten far enough in it to really do a decent review on it. because I've been playing through it without a guide, and that's a game that you could probably get through the game in like 5 or 6 hours with a guide, but without a guide, it's going to take you a while. Great game so far. It's one I missed out on as a kid, but I figured we could talk about some of the reasons like why retro gaming is on the uptick, why it's coming back. Because it's kind of talk about what makes retro gaming what it is in this day and age.
All right.
On this episode of Sensations in the Abyss,
we have Lyle McClendon and Brandon Gentry's new title, Good Ole Gamers episode 97, an equivocal look at butt, dick, tit, fart, fuck humor.
What makes retro gaming so popular now?
I think the number one reason is nostalgia.
That is the main reason.
Yeah. Everybody loves to look back on those games, even the shitty games that you played as a kid. You look at them through, to be honest, some rose-tinted glasses. They all look a little bit better looking back on it as a kid, but just you get that nostalgia.
I think of a lot of the nostalgia too is not just for the game. I mean, it is
simpler
for
time.
a lot of people, but a lot of, like, for me personally, like that, like you said, the simpler times, like my grandparents' house that I went home, from school to every day and played video games and hung around till I slept and started the next day is like fucking a mile away from here.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's not just remember, I'm having a hard time explaining. It's not just like sitting in my grandparents' house on the floor playing the games. Like, I remember playing the game, but I also remember everything else, that was going on around me at the time. And like you said, simpler times, not having to worry about shit.
Back when getting past that one dungeon in Zelda was like the biggest problem in your life.
Yeah, no shit. And me and my grandpa, like, he was my first gaming buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And shit like that, like little things like that, I'll never forget. And that's why I like it now. Like, I can have a shitty day and come home and just zonk out and play a game in there and not really think about anything, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, when I was
just remember what it felt like to be playing this as myself fucking 25 years earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, the nostalgia for me goes back to, like, when I was a kid, my parents went through an awful fucking divorce. It sucks shit. And I would just use that to escape back then.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have to think about shit. I would just become a living potato in front of a video game.
Yeah, no shit.
And, I still use it in that way to this day, and just to escape the damn worries and struggles of being an adult.
That's how I am. I think that's why I like such open-ended games now, too. It's just, it gives you the opportunity to, like, I guess, live life through somebody else's shoes and, like, live a more perfect existence, even though it is digital.
Yeah, and there's some days, like, I had a really shitty day, didn't get a goddamn thing done, despite I worked at my ass off, nothing went right. I could come home and make something in Minecraft, and it's like, I did something today.
Yeah.
My life wasn't quite pointless.
It gives you that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. I mean, that's why I like it now. And it's just, I've, even then though, like, if you want to talk about just the gaming side of it, I was always just super fascinated with it back then. Like, I don't know, it's weird to be like 8 or 9 years old and almost get physical chubbies off looking at this new hardware and shit that's coming out. Just like,
God,
being a tech head that young, the
advertisements that came back then were just, they blew me away as a kid.
That shit influenced everything too.
Yeah.
Like, I've even, my grandfather like kept everything from when I was in elementary school. And I got notebooks in there of like my drawings and shit from like 1st and 2nd grade, and all my drawings are like homemade video game advertisements. It's like advertisements for my own games.
Yeah.
And I'll have like a shitty the title and a shitty title screen, and then like I had one that had a shitty little Nintendo Silver quality and a Sega Genesis one. It was like now available on Nintendo and Sega, and then have your little squares that's got your screenshots and shit on it. You know?
I remember one we came up with back then was The Legend of Tuna. This game has nothing to do with tuna.
Yeah. The Legend. I forgot about that. That came about in fucking Coach Hassenbein's history class. There was a bunch of them back then. I remember we did one that was like Legend of Tuna 2 or 3, and it was like the tuna beaters. And I remember we drew a picture of a dude just like punching a fucking tuna he was holding in his hand or some stupid shit like that. It was like, now available on Amiga 32. A console that's been dead at this point when we were in high school by like 10 years already then.
Another reason, is there's a lot of people like us who've gotten out of school and gotten settled down in a job and a career.
And shot some churring into some people.
Yeah, and now we got a little bit of money to throw around. We can get them games that we could not get as a kid. Even with emulation, that's been an option for a long fucking time. But it don't have the same appeal to it. I like emulating, but there's nothing quite like putting a cartridge in the old SNES or something, and you just get that endorphin rush just from doing that.
Yeah.
Hell, I set up some consoles in my computer room because I think I mentioned this a while back. I got a Sony Trinitron off the back side of the road some weeks back, and it's in great working condition. But when I turn it on, it has that really satisfying thunk.
Yeah.
And God, I love that shit so much. I wish my LED or LCD TV in my living room made that noise. It just played an MP3 of that.
Just the fucking tube heating up.
Yeah, just thunk.
That'd be kind of badass.
But yeah, that's also one of the reasons why retro gaming has gotten so goddamn expensive is people throw money at it. Kind of sucks.
Yeah, because, it's about 50-50 with the retro gaming crowd. Like, 50% of people actually want to play these games. The other 50% of people just know that Nintendo games are potentially worth money.
Yeah.
And, like, I can't tell you, well, I say it like there's been hundreds, but it's only really like a couple. But just, like, talking to people that would come in Vault back in the day, and a lot of these people would label themselves as collectors and purveyors, of retro gaming, and they'll be like, yeah, I had that game, but I turned it around and made a quick $60 off of it. And I'm like, well, did you even play the game? Well, I got to the first 2 levels. And I'm like, you're not a fucking collector if you're like playing 15 minutes of the game and then flipping it.
Yeah,
like,
making sure it works before selling it.
Exactly. And like that's one of the aggravating things about it. I'm glad it's so popular. It's cool that it's so popular, but in the same sense, for people that are like legitimately have their heart into it, it sucks.
Yeah, it's good to have like a community of people you can enjoy it with. Gives us things like Game Fest.
Yeah.
If no one gave a shit about it, Game Fest wouldn't be a thing at all.
No.
Southern Fried Game Room, stuff like that would not be a thing because you couldn't draw a crowd to it. So in that aspect, it's good, but yeah, it definitely sucks on prices. Retro game is still relatively cheap to collect for if you don't go through for certain titles.
The one good thing you can say right now, though, about retro gaming, they've pretty much projected we're at the ceiling of shit now. Like, shit's not going to go any higher at this point.
I don't think it is. Because the people who care about the games that we care about, they're already into it. There's not going to be any more, really, because like my kids aren't going to give 3 fucks about Super Nintendo games. I've introduced it to them. I've played some with them, but they don't really care like we do. It's just different generation type thing.
Yeah, they didn't grow up with that shit like we did.
Right.
Like we literally were born at the exact perfect time for the gaming generations
to go
that we're
through
fans
like
of.
the Nintendo.
Yeah,
era.
because we were fucking 5 years old in 1990, and 1990 was NES was still supreme, but 91 was the real big transitional point between Nintendo and SNES. And I vividly remember all that shit. I remember seeing the first, being like 6 years old and seeing the first, Link to the Past for the first time on the Super Nintendo commercial. It's got Paul Rudd on it. Fucking just get blown away by those Mode 7. Mode 7's just Bukkake it all over.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd. They're just taking turns super soaking that motherfucker. This is Mode 7 and all over his face. Load 7. But, I remember that shit. And, it's just, I guess it's kind of like religion, too. You're going to believe somewhat whatever you're brought up to believe till you get old enough to decide for yourself. And maybe that's how your kids will be. Yeah. Maybe they're like, PlayStation 4 and this and that. But at some point, if they stay involved with their PlayStation, they're going to be curious to look into the history of where that shit came from.
I wonder what the PlayStation 1 was like.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, it's hideous. I know my little girl loves, I think it's Kirby Superstars on Super Nintendo. She still plays that on the Pi quite a bit. So there's some ties to it with them. Just not nearly as much,
Not like us. Which, granted, we didn't. Which, technically, I guess we did. Because, there's consoles that, as kids, we never had that we couldn't afford.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And there's, a whole generation before us of Atari and television.
Oh, yeah.
We got to experience it at a certain point, but it wasn't Nintendo. It wasn't Sega.
No, we were born right at the end of the golden age of arcade gaming. Yep. And we grew up right smack in the middle of Nintendo mania. I was 4 fucking years old when I got my Nintendo, and I still I have a hard time remembering what I did last week sometimes, but my fucking memory of getting my Nintendo, I remember what my grandparents' couch looked like. I remember where they lived, I remember way my grandma and grandpa looked back in fucking 89 when I got it. And I remember getting Ghostbusters and Mario and Duck Hunt.
I remember setting up Mario Duck Hunt and playing that shit until I was too damn tired to stand.
I remember playing Duck Hunt for days and then discovering later on that it had the Clay Pigeons version on it. And then just being like, holy shit, there's actually 3 games on here.
Yeah.
And I remember being 4 years old and be like, holy shit, Ghostbusters fucking sucks. I wish I'd have told David Crane that and just be like, I knew that game blew donkeys for quarters ever since I was 4. I should be like, when I was 4, I said the guy that made this game should shoot himself. I'm just kidding. David Crane was a nice guy. I would never.
But, like I said, the disposable income's a big part of why it's coming back. Being able to go back and buy the games. Because, as a kid, them $40, $50 games, that was like an insurmountable amount of money to save up and
by God, it was.
Yeah. Especially when you're lucky to get 50 cents for, doing anything. You mow a lawn for 3 hours and you get 50 cents.
I remember those very few kids. There was one I was friends with growing up, and he had 25 NES games when we were 6. And I just remember being like, your mom and dad your dad's an emperor somewhere, isn't he?
Is your dad Donald Trump?
Yeah, no shit. Is your dad Ross Perot?
Yeah, he has more money than God.
I love that Slappy Vision console he had over there.
Yeah.
I knew how to filibust at 4 years old, too. But,
another thing that's driven up the brand prices is these fucking clickbait articles saying, you bought your child's old video games on eBay.
You potentially have $200,000 in the bottom of your closet.
Yep.
God damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one thing, though. Like that Trinitron I got, someone just threw that out. That they haven't done articles on shit like that. And, there's some retro game collectors who pay you $100, $200 for an old Trinitron.
Oh, no, dude. I need to show you. I've doing some searching on the interwebs. I found some Facebook groups where it's how we are with retro gaming shit, these people are with old TVs. Like, they're just swapping, and they're like, oh, man, this Magnavox so-and-so from 1978 has 9 more pixels than, and I'm just like, Christ on the cross. These people collect TV. They'd walk in my basement and just start dropping Mode 7s everywhere. They'd be like, oh.
Speaking of TVs in the basement, if you have any old CRT TVs you'd like to donate to Good Ole Game Fest, we'd be very appreciative of it.
We do not accept TVs from Alaska or Nevada. Taxes paid where applicable. See contest for all rules and details. But another thing I think that makes, like you said, the price point of stuff, but there is so much good stuff out there that is insanely like dirt fucking cheap.
Yeah.
There are so many like $2 and $3 NES games that you can still get just.
And then there's Godzilla 2, which is like $100 goddamn dollars.
Yeah.
And it's not that good of a game, even though I like it. It pisses me off so bad.
Oh, there's some really, really expensive games that are fucking just, I think, awful.
Yeah.
Little Samson's a great game, not for $1,200.
Right. Yeah. I'd rather just play Mega Man for the price point because it's about the same.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like another like the Cheetah Man games. That Cheetah Man 2 game's worth like $200 and it's fucking unplayable. Like, which I mean, it's not like it's a licensed game or anything, but yeah, there are a lot of really cheap gems out there. I'm looking on eBay for shit now just because I got the itch to get something new. I want to get me a copy of Godzilla on NES. That's still one of my favorites, even though it's not that good of a game. But it's like $10 now. Hell yeah!
The first Godzilla.
It's worth it just to snag those games like that. It's like one of my favorite games that a lot of people can't stand, but a lot of people have still played is Black Bass. Yeah, I love that. I love Black Bass, and it's not that great of a game at all. No,
it's not. But I loved it. I still do. There's some nights like Juice would come over. I'm like, hey, let's have a Black Bass tournament. So who gets the biggest Black Bass? We give each other shit because, oh yeah, you got a 10-pound trout, but it's a fucking trout. It don't count. It's got to be a black bass.
Bringing up this largemouth bullshit. Fuck that fish. Fuck your fish. Get on the goddamn boat. We're in the middle of the water. Get the fuck out.
They get to the point where we'd see like a massive fish come up. Be like, I know that's a goddamn trout or a pike or something. I'm going to get my fucking lure back. It's going to eat it.
There's nothing more disappointing than that game where you see the huge fucking green shadow coming up, and you're like, man, that's a record-breaking bass. And the fish just gets all the way up to the lure, and it's like, fuck you.
Yep.
It just turns around, and it's like, the fish is not interested.
Yep.
I'm like, God damn it, where's the hand grenades at? Like, this is a Nintendo game. Like,
yep.
Go fishing.
As everybody knows, I'm a big fan of Yonoid. That's all still dirt cheap. There's a shitload of just really good titles. Dirt cheap because no one's like done big popular exposés of them on the internet.
It just a lot of it too is they make so many fucking sequels and spin-offs and continuations and everything of every game now, and I think a lot of that, a lot of people don't realize that some of these modern games had older games. I think that's a lot of it is they build up the fan base on these newer games, and people go back, digging around in history and want to find out more of where this shit come from and where it came from and all that,
Yeah, you'd be surprised how many people who are big into GTA never played the first two.
Yeah.
Have no clue it came from 2D roots.
That's true. There's a lot of people that fucking play Metal Gear Solid series.
Didn't even know the Nintendo one existed.
Yeah. That's part of it, I guess.
I think another reason it's been on the uptick is it's a combination of the unique art style and indie games taking advantage of that, because the pixel art is easier, or it can be easier for a person to make that looks good. Like a single 1 or 2 devs can make a pixel art game that looks good versus trying to model everything in 3D and make it look good. Because shitty 3D modeled looks fucking awful in this day and age.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that's, you see shit like Super Meat Boy and what else? I'm drawing blanks, but I know there's
Hyper Light Drifter, Super Meat Boy, Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Stardew Valley looks like one of the prettiest
Terraria.
Super Nintendo games. Yeah.
All kinds of shit like that. You could even say Minecraft.
Yeah, I was going to say, even Minecraft is
It's very N64-ish.
Yeah, you could have seen Minecraft on N64 or PlayStation 1.
It's a lot smaller
easily.
field of view.
Yeah, alpha.
Yeah.
The pre-alpha build.
Yeah. That's... I think, too, because from, like, PS2, I guess, more like with Xbox, I think Xbox really started ushering in the push and drive for, like, supreme graphics.
Yeah.
And there for a while, 2D games were almost unheard of. Everything was just the newest, best fucking graphics possible.
It was stupid there for a while to do 2D, like on PlayStation. Even the 2D games on PlayStation still had 3D rendered backgrounds and elements like that and shit.
And I think the market became so damn flooded with nothing but 3D shit that the 2D stuff started to look unique and refreshing again.
Yeah.
There's so many fucking Crisis type games you can see and be blown away by the amazing graphics before you notice how that old game Super Metro looks pretty badass.
Yeah. Well, you think about it too, like the graphics for like pixel art and shit it's a lot less elaborate than doing 3D graphics, but in the same sense, you have to have like a whole different level of intellect to do like 2D graphics opposed to 3D.
Yeah, and especially the way they used to do 2D graphics on the old games, old systems, because you didn't really draw it out; you coded that shit.
Yeah,
but making pixel art is a little more labor intensive, especially the more fluid your animation is, because you have to draw the whole sprite for every frame of the animation. But that being said, a couple of people can knock that out easier than trying to make awesome 3D modeling.
Yeah.
I don't know, and it's also just like a new. I'm going to hit on this a little bit later too, but it's basically a new art style developed from necessity, like from necessary minimalism, because they had to work with very limited resources on these systems. And this is something that would have never came around if not for these old games.
Yeah, well, a lot of the developers and shit, they couldn't do certain things in the game they wanted to do because of the limitations of the hardware and all that. So they had to figure out all these pretty much ingenious methods of going around shit and still making... Like, I've seen a few little things just about, like, Mario and how the image of Mario running. They said they were having an initial hard time with him. It was running one direction or something, and it was just because of the way the frames were laying together or some shit. And they done something, I don't remember at all what it was, but it was just, they done something minor to the image. Like maybe they flipped it, or they moved a couple pixels over here, and they were explaining that's why Mario has like the suspenders on now or something. That's why that's blue, and I can't remember. It was just something real simple, but they did that, and it allowed them to figure out a way around their bug, essentially.
Yeah. It's neat to see what all came up and arose out of just the need
necessity.
Out of the need of just to use as few resources as possible.
That's why a lot of these indie games that you're talking about that are using that style graphics are so badass. Yeah. It's like, you ain't got a big fucking, like Stardew Valley, for example. You ain't got a big fucking crew and team working on that shit. It's like a couple people.
Yeah.
And a lot of that shit's them sitting there just figuring out how they can do shit.
Yeah.
Within the grounds of them three.
And, a lot of the new indie stuff, too, is taken, even though it's a retro style art and stuff, they still have the massively inflated resources of modern systems to work with. Yeah. So they're not limited to, 18 sprites on the screen at one time and shit like that. So it's neat to see what's being done with stuff like that. Like, you watch yourself die a million times on Super Meat Boy and see all the replays happen at once. It's kind of fucking impressive.
Another reason the shit's uber popular is just because of the culture in general. The way the culture
nerd
progresses
culture is
at an all-time high right now. Like, anything retro is fucking popular.
Yeah.
Retro-themed clothes, music.
Yeah,
and shit.
vinyls.
There are people selling goddamn cassettes at concerts now. For what fucking purpose, I will never know. But I went to the Floor concert, and Floor had vinyls and cassettes.
I could see vinyl. I don't see cassettes.
Oh, I will buy vinyl all day long. I still like. People can say what the fuck they want, but being a musician, like, you can tell the difference between something on vinyl and a fucking digital copy of something. You just can. There's not that warmthness to it, I don't guess. But, that being said, that's all that shit's popular, and all goes hand in hand. The 80s are fucking uber goddamn popular right now.
Yep.
Everybody is all about the 80s right now.
And again, I think that goes back to our generation coming to be it with having disposable incomes to spend on shit. They want those cool clothes that they never got to get. You want that cassette you never got.
Bro, you're 32 years old and you have Reebok pumps. Fuck you.
Oh my God,
now
I forgot Reebok pumps.
Run faster and jump higher.
God, that was such a shitty gimmick.
I had a pair. That was the bad thing.
Yeah,
I had a pair.
I had them too. Everybody wanted them.
They didn't do shit.
No, they didn't.
Now, the shoes I was all about was the LA Gears, and LA Lights. I thought those were the shit back when I was a little kid. My dog ate one of my lights on my shoe one time, and I could have swore I seen his asshole glowing one night. I barely remember that, but I do. But yeah, the culture is a lot of it, because even in the music and shit, a lot of these, like the electronic musician shit, they all use chip tunes and stuff in a lot of their songs now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I want to talk about too, is that the music of retro gaming, another thing that developed from a necessity, a whole fucking genre of music that developed because they had to program an audio processor to make music. So it only put out waveform type stuff, digitized music, and they didn't have a lot of options of how they did it. So that gave birth to chiptune.
Yeah, there were composers trained composers that went into that shit having no idea how to use any of that, and pretty much having to figure out how to create orchestral scores using that shit.
Yep.
Ingenious.
To play, this wave of a sound at this interval of time, and I've seen some of that shit. I can't wrap my head around it. I guarantee you half them people did not get paid what they should have been paid to do that shit. And
I doubt it.
And when I was looking at doing our intro song for the podcast, I've seen in the chiptune community, there's a big rift. There's people who believe in doing it the old way, and they scorn the people using new tools to make the chiptune music. That's not chiptune music, because it wasn't made with a chiptune processor. I'm like, fuck you, dude. You fucking hipster piece of shit. If it sounds like chiptune music, it's chiptune music. That's all it needs to be. That's how any genre of music's defined.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever that's one of the dumbest things I've heard.
If someone can use a simpler program to make this awesome music, let them. Why?
People use synthesizer to play multiple fucking other instrument parts all the time. You hear a synthesizer making drum notes, you still don't say, that's not a drum, that's a piano.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, but it's got the sound profile of a drum, so if it sounds like a drum, it probably had a drum recorded to it, so it's still technically a drum.
Yeah.
Man. What a world we live in.
But yeah, I'll get a song in my head from an old game, and it'll stay in my head, and I'll just have to go home after work and play that shit.
Oh yeah.
It just scratched the itch.
I hate to reference Stardew Valley so much, but that was one of the first games in a long time I downloaded the MP3s for, and sit and just actually listen to and enjoy.
Yeah.
It's very relaxing. It's like almost therapeutic.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the winter music on there. Can't get enough of it. Maybe they'll talk about that on
The winter edition of Sensations of the Black Abyss.
Yeah. Fuck. You know, we'll get to some chiptune music later, but hell, even games that don't really have notable music like Yonoid, you know, that music still plays in my head fine. I still love it. It's just chiptune music, unless it's done really awful. I haven't heard many bad chiptune songs. There's stuff that's not memorable, but most of it's usually still fairly catchy. Just the way it plays, it's supposed to lend to the gameplay. You know, emphasize the action and, you know, the mood of the game.
I was trying to think of like just one chiptune song that really annoys me to no end, and the only thing that popped in my head was the Ghostbusters, just because it's literally the doo 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 on loop the entire game.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
I've
the
seen
only
shit like that
fucking
when
music.
it's just like a really short piece that probably wouldn't be bad on its own, but when it's looped ad nauseum, yeah, it'll drive you nuts.
They're just. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go for it.
I just want to say, like, I think, you know, we were talking earlier about everybody having families is a lot of it too.
Yeah,
because a lot of mom and, you know, I mean, you're a parent. A lot of people our age are parents now, and like you said, they're wanting to show their kids this new shit, or the old show them what they grew up with.
I know you think this Mario Kart on the Wii U is hard, but let me show you Mario Kart on the SNES.
Yeah, no shit.
That game's fucking hard as hell.
You little fucks are really going to need a safe place after this.
I used to be a badass on the SNES Mario Kart. I went back and tried to play that shit.
It is hard.
It is hard as
shit.
Fuck. Now I still kick ass at Mario Kart on the N64, but the SNES one, that one's really rough around the edges.
Turning on that game is impeccably hard.
Yeah.
Way harder than I remember.
I used to be able to get first place.
Well, it's even like F-Zero. I was pretty badass at F-Zero as a kid. And F-Zero is still one of my favorite games. But I'm not near as good at it as I used to be. And it's because I've been spoiled on newer racing games and shit.
Yeah.
Like, that was one thing that was real cool about the old consoles is like, you may get a fucking racing game, 2 racing games on Sega, 2 different racing games, and they both play completely different. Yeah. Now everything plays exactly the same.
Yep.
It's
you know what to
standard
expect.
controller mappings for every fucking racing game, standard controller mappings for every first-person shooter.
And that's fine. It's good that for you know, going into something and knowing the basics, but yeah, it does take away from a lot of the uniqueness of the older shit. You know, that it kind of touches on another point, is the damn difficulty. Everyone goes on about Dark Souls now. Back then, everything was Dark Souls.
Yeah, no shit. No.
I mean, you have some games aren't that hard, but a lot of them still pretty goddamn hard.
Get into some like Ninja Gaiden 2.
And, you know, some of it was bad game design because, you know, hell, games to this day are designed badly sometimes, but also it's because it was a newish field that people were still working out. Another thing is that was where the longevity of the gameplay was. Because if they made the games easy, you could blow through most of the old games in no time. Because they can't hold that much on those cartridges.
No, like a good NES game that you're really boss at and you can play through quick, other than like, you know, like Zelda or something like that. Oh, well, look at Super Mario Brothers. 5 minutes tops, you can beat that game.
Yeah. But how long have you had to play it to get to that level?
Yeah, exactly. That's like, it trains you to get that good.
Right.
That's where, and a lot of times, like you said earlier too, it goes back to the fact of, when you're a kid, $40 fucking is a lot of money for a video game.
Yeah,
so you play what you got, and you learn to like it. Dude, I had Skulls and Crossbones on NES as a kid.
Oh, man.
Let me say that again. I had Skulls and Crossbones on NES as a kid. Like, should have also had a UNICEF package come in my house because of that. Like, that is like the third world of NES games. But it's one of them games. It's like it's partially broken to play, but I played it so much, I've kind of got decent at it. Like, so
yeah. You know, it's crazy.
It's a reward
I'm
system
going back
almost.
on playing games I used to be so badass at when I was, 8, 9 years old, and now I suck shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how could my 8 to 9-year-old self whoop my ass at this game? Because, for example, I'll go to my stepson's room. He'll have a PS4 game. I'll mop the fucking floor with him, even though he's been playing that game for, fucking 30 hours a week during the summer.
I think a lot of it is just because everything is so fucking refined now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, games are so refined now and all this shit, you can't really just... I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say.
It kind of goes back to how everything's the same now. Like, yeah, he might be playing this new game. But
he's already got the skills from this other game that's going to help him in this one.
Yeah, and what I'm saying with me being able to mop the floor with him is I've done played 20 other fucking games like it. It's a lot longer than he has.
Yeah.
And whereas those old games, there's nothing like it anymore to hone them skills. You just fall out of practice with it.
That's true. The only games I could actually think of now that would, something to hone your skills would, as much as I hate to say it, be like the Dark Souls, not just them games, but that style, like the brutally difficult and hack and slash beat 'em up.
Fighting games are still that way. They've evolved to become even more complex than what they used to be, to a point that I really don't like it. I like the simplicity of the older ones.
Yeah.
But
forward or down, forward, high punch.
Like all the new ones are like,
seconds.
You got to do this move because it has 0.3 seconds of iframes, and when you see them get to the half the frame of their spin kick, you got to use your block at 0.8 seconds.
When they got some Doogie Howser looking motherfucker standing next to them with a stopwatch and a calculator to calculate what they're doing in Mortal Kombat. You got to stop playing fucking video games at that point and get a goddamn job. Buddy, you need to be working in a fucking nuclear reactor, not here throwing icy spin kicks.
That was the difference a lot, too, between like badass people on like the old Street Fighters and Mortal Kombat and now. It's all into the hardcore, iframes this and super armor that. Whereas back then, it's like that guy spent $20 in Mortal Kombat tonight. He's kind of a badass.
Yeah. They just... I don't know, like... newer shit, and I can't talk completely bad about it because I play it too, but...
Yeah, and I mean, new stuff's fine, but...
It's killed off a lot of the kind of customs, I guess, that carried over from the old generations to the new. Like, there's certain types of genres of games you don't see anymore. Certain brands of games don't exist. There's certain titles and shit like that. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess, don't exist anymore. A lot of that shit got lost in translation between the old consoles to new shit.
And I don't know. I don't think it's so much the games too, but it might be the anonymity of the internet has led to this. But the communities with new games suck shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's ruined Rocket League for me. I love Rocket League. It's become such a fucking cesspool.
All these little fucks want to just like be so quick to cut each other's throats and shit. And
it's a fucking party game.
Well, not even like Rocket League, but just talking about some of the more toxic communities for games, which I guess you could cite like any of the big games are going to have their toxic ass members. Even like Friday the 13th, man, I've met players on there I wouldn't fucking take the time to pull my dick out and piss on if they were on fire.
And
on the side of the road.
With the old games where you're in the same room with people, you didn't encounter shit like that.
No, that's what I was getting at. Like, you all work together when you're playing Nintendo.
Or at the very least, like if you had a bunch of buddies over and you had that one fuck who always got you in the corner with E-Honda and spammed his palms of no, then you just didn't play with him. It's fuck you, guy. You don't get a turn.
Yeah.
You got to pick someone else.
You smell like shit. Go call your mom and tell them to come get you. I don't know, man. Like, I think a lot of it too is like gaming's just mainstream as fuck now.
Yeah.
We used to catch flack for playing video games as kids. Now it's just like it's
hunting.
Yeah. Like,
playing football.
That shit's gonna rot your brain. I'm like, y'all watch fucking Roseanne every night. Like, it's gonna rot my brain. Fun little story one time. I was in a work van years ago, and we had a fucking meth head riding with us. And I was flipping through the radio, and I don't remember what it was. Something real heavy and real good was on the radio. And I turned it on and was just listening to it drown him out. And this motherfucker shot and smoked meth, mind you. And he proceeds to tell me, he's like, that loud music, boy, is going to rot your brain. And I'm like, that fucking dope you shoot and smoke won't. And he just goes, oh, God damn it. Hunch back in the seat. But anyways, like...
Yeah, I had a similar moment, too. Which this was someone closer to my own age and was... Well, I'll just tell the damn story. Yeah, I had a buddy and his woman over drinking, having a good time one night. And it was when I was still dating my now wife. And I think I was making like a frozen pizza or something because I was drinking. I had the damn drunk munchies.
Yeah.
She comes over there, I'm fat as hell, and she's a damn stick. And she's like, eating that's going to kill you one day. And I'm like, how about the bottles of pills you fucking fight your husband for? Is that not going to kill you?
No shit, man. Like, it pisses me off when people do that.
Yeah.
They're like smoking a cigarette.
Hey, if I want to kill myself my way, fine. You kill yourself your own way,
I like that old cliche saying where I can just be like, well, hell, we all got to die from something.
Yeah. Yeah.
By God, if that ain't the truth, I don't know what is.
Yep. But yeah, another thing about the older games is the fucking simplicity of it. Even though there were complex old games, I'm not going to say there wasn't. Because, I like the old Civilization and stuff like that.
You don't have to play a fucking 30-minute tutorial before getting into the game.
There was no tutorials. Just play the goddamn game as a tutorial. The first 10
Read
times
your instruction manual if you
learn
have
from
to.
your first 10 deaths. That's your tutorial. Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but people that tell you that you have to read instruction manuals to play old games are full of fucking shit.
Most of them are really generic.
I remember looking at the cool pictures in my manuals as a kid, not being like, oh, hold down B to...
There were some that were really useful. Like, it ain't necessarily the instructions, but the map to Zelda, really fucking useful.
Indeed.
Of course, you could play without it. The simplicity of it, the fact that you just pick up, you mash every button. Yep, that's what I do. Let's go.
Yeah.
New games, and I'm not knocking complexity. I like it from in new games, but it's just an appeal to sit down at the end of the day and play a simple game.
Well, yeah. Sometimes you just want a game you can get in and get out of in 20 minutes. You don't want to sit there and fucking save 3 princesses and a civilization just to get to a fucking stopping point.
Yeah.
That's a lot of it. That's a lot of what I like about it now is just the simplicity is what, too, I think, because if you ever notice, well, people that aren't really gamers that do play video games tend to play older games instead of playing newer shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you were to fucking take some 40-year-old dude that has never played a video game a day in his life, and you put a fucking Pac-Man machine in front of him,
he can play
or PS4, he's probably going to play the Pac-Man.
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah.
And I think that, too, is a lot of it, because, it all goes back to our generation's adults now. That's the whole... I think that's the whole shebang of why retro games are popular.
It really is.
It is. Because it all ties back to, like you said, having the expendable money to, being able to buy the shit you want for once.
Yeah. And, that's also another thing is
nostalgia.
The collectability of it. It's like catching the Pokemon. Except now it's video games. Even when I get a shitty game I didn't have...
It's still another one going on the shelf with the rest of them.
Yeah, it's still a little rush. I got a new game today. I paid $2 at the thrift store for this new game.
Hell yeah. That's a lot of it, man. Like, I literally get fucking adrenaline rushes, like, finding some shit that I've been wanting. That day I found Earthbound at the Wizard in Coleman, I thought I was going to have a fucking stroke. Like, I could feel my heart beating through my eyeballs.
Hell
I was
yeah.
so excited. And that's a good feeling, you know,
Yeah.
like the thrill of the hunt, I guess, as far as like collecting, I guess you'd say.
I miss that about yard sales too. Now, again, because of the damn clickbait articles, you can't hardly find anything on a good deal anymore. Everything's overpriced or at least competitively priced. I'm like, man, what happened to my $5 game bands?
You may find like one or two small good deals, but you won't find just a big clusterfuck of shit falling in your lap like you used to would. I think the last thing I even found like that was my Sega CD. It was a Sega Genesis CD 32X, and it came with like 20 Sega CD games and 18 Genesis games and 4 32X games. I paid the dude $100 bill on the spot.
Hell
So I
yeah.
was like, I did. I made my money back. Like 2 of the Genesis games out of that lot, I already had, and I sold them I got like $80 out of those 2. So they were both CIB. So, you know, that was a score.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, I've always wanted a Sega CD shittiness all over me.
Yeah, I got a few decent deals when I was beefing up my collection for Game Fest.
You did.
But that took a whole lot of hunting on Craigslist, and Craigslist has become kind of a shitty source now because there's so many game stores and resellers on there that people are checking it every goddamn minute now. And they're jumping over
literally everything you see on there. Somebody been like, I want to buy all of your NES, SNES, Genesis shit. And that same person has a post and is like, come down to here. We got 5 Nintendos for $100 each and 3 Super Nintendos for $80 each. And
I remember one of the deals I came across, I got like a Nintendo, Super Nintendo, might have been 2 Super, and I know I got an N64 and maybe a Sega in there for like $40 for all of them. That's fucking awesome.
it just, Craigslist has that tendency, though, of making me sick every time I get on it because I usually find something and it's gone.
Instantly.
I got...
Like, oh, this was 2 hours ago. I have a chance at it. Nope.
Dude, I got bored one day and looked on Auburn's because I got friends that go to Auburn. I'm like, well, if I find something, I could always wire them money and be like, get that shit, mail it to me. Dude, and I still got the picture on this saved. I could show you. A dude's dad owned a fucking video rental store and he died. And he was like, I just know Nintendo games are worth money. He was like, but I don't know how much these are worth. I just want them out of my hair. And the picture on Craigslist, he had 6 boxes and they were all boxed. Everyone, I seen like Dragon Warrior 2, 3, and 4, you know, some like $100+ games. No telling what all the guy had. There was like some Mega Mans, Castlevanias. And I sent him a message and he was like, well, I had one other guy messaged me, and there was 2 guys that messaged me and then one other guy. He said the 2 guys come down to buy it together and they got to arguing over all of it, and I kicked them out of my damn house because there ain't nobody fighting over this shit. And he said, if this guy don't make me an offer, I'll get back with you. I didn't hear from the dude, and I sent him a message and I was like, just out of curiosity, I'm assuming you sold them. I was like, how much did you sell all of them for? And he said a dude come and gave him $150 fucking
Oh, my God.
all of it. And I told him, I was like, well, that's great and all, dude. I was like, I was just going to let you know, I seen a few games on the top pile of that you could have got $150 each for easily. And he never said nothing back. And I was just like, God damn it, man.
Yeah.
Some bad luck.
And you know, a lot of the times that goes to people who just want to get online and scalp the fuck out of them, you know.
Oh, yeah, those were fucking eBay material. I guarantee it. Because, well, I mean, you think, though, if you got 2 people in your house literally starting to fight and argue,
you know
over
you
shit,
got something.
You know you got something. Exactly. Yeah. So, I think, though, as far as retro gaming goes, we're at the ceiling of shit.
I think so, too.
I think now I think it's going to stay where it's at and kind of fizzle down a little bit.
I do hope at least the prices fizzle down some, because I think a lot of people are going to have them and they're going to set it on their shelves because they don't really play them, and then they're going to be like, well, they're going to come across a new hobby that they want.
That's what I was fixing to say. I even seen that at Vault. I was going to say a lot of these people at this point, this retro video game's a fad for them, and that shit's done run its course. So
yeah.
On to the next. It ain't no, you know, the same people that are like buying up and hawking resellers now, if they were to tell them that fucking baseball cards next year are the hot ticket item, they wouldn't be selling retro game shit anymore. All their cases, their shitty little pawn shops and shit would be filled with baseball cards.
Yeah.
That's how that goes. Like, it all goes back to the retro wave thing, like that shit being popular again. I mean, it all.
One thing I've been kind of hoping,
people want that.
even though I like comics and I hate to see that market turn real shitty, but I've been kind of hoping the whole Marvel popularity thing leads to people going from gaming to comics. The people who are bad to jump on fads like that.
That's true, because I mean, like, comic books are back at like their all-time highest selling point since, like, I think I seen the other day or about a month ago, they were talking about like they're selling more comics now than they did in like the 90s and 80s. They're selling comics like they did in the 70s and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are actually reading fucking comic books again.
Yeah.
I feel, see, there's a potential backlash to all that, though, because what I kind of think could possibly happen is people are going to get fucking tired of the Marvel, the superhero shit. And, you know, movies work in trends just like everything else. They never made a single fucking superhero movie. Spider-Man comes out and is a big hit, and then every fucking superhero now you've ever heard of has their own movie. Yeah. That's what's going to happen in video games eventually. Somebody's going to fuck up and make a really good video game movie eventually.
Oh, God damn it.
And I'm telling you, that Tetris trilogy that's coming out, it's going to... gonna fucking Tetris all kinds of new ground, no pun intended. It's gonna make it disappear. You know, that's runs a possibility of happening though, is like they start exploiting video game movies left and right.
It's very possible.
Nintendo's already said that that new president, he's interested in getting them back into the movie world, but I think they're more along the lines of like computer anime and shit. But, you know, you think about it. If Pixar were to do like a fucking Super Mario movie or something, it would be a goddamn huge hit.
It would.
I'd be one of the first people to go see it.
My daughter loves
Pixar
Mario
and I
so
love
much.
Mario.
You know, she would be all about wanting to go see a new Mario movie.
And, like, you know, all these kids wearing this Minion shit and all that, they'd be all wearing the Mario stuff. Yeah. Do a goddamn Zelda movie and do it right, you know?
Zelda can make a badass movie.
Dude, a live-action adaptation of Link to the Past would be fucking amazing. Or Ocarina. Those both, story-wise, have grounds for to be some badass shit.
Yeah.
Or Majora's Mask. Any of them. Just the basic.
Majora's Mask. But,
it could be cool. But, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where we go from here. Yeah. In retro gaming. Because like I said,
I kind of hope maybe, you know, because retro gaming, the definition of it's kind of like a moving target. As people get older, their retro gaming is going to be like PlayStation 2 and stuff. Yeah. Like my stepson, his retro gaming is going to be GameCube and PlayStation 2 and because that's and Wii. You know, that's the first shit he was exposed to. So when he gets older, he's gonna be buying up that shit. I'm like, y'all fucking have it. You know? Yeah. Let me my cartridges.
Y'all got the retro shit. I got the golden oldie shit. Yeah. Like, at that point, it won't be retro. It'll be classic. Our shit'll be classic. Their shit'll be retro. Yeah. If you just got to put a fucking label on it, I guess. I don't know.
But there's a lot of reasons why it's been on the uptick, and I think, of course, the big daddy of it all is nostalgia. You know,
yeah, that's the main one.
Yeah, all the other shit. I mean, it's all a contributing factor, but no one of them things stand on their legs like nostalgia does.
Nostalgia will make you do some crazy shit. Yeah, just to get that one more feeling of when everything was going right. Yeah, like you'd be surprised what people would do to just obtain that feeling. Yeah. That's why we buy video games. Yep. That's okay, though. Yeah. Because in a weird way, you know, people program those games. People poured their labor, sweat, and effort into those. I mean, not all of them, but LJN, they didn't. Those motherfuckers sat around and, like, they were making green and flicking beans, boy. But, you know, like, people put a lot into those games, and like those games were created in the brief existence where we've been living. So buying those games essentially is like buying a little piece of that history.
Yeah.
And taking home with you. And in a weird way, since you've grown up with it, you're buying a little piece of your own history. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because whether you've played it or not.
Fuck it, it's got to where, like, if I have, like, a old busted-up controller that ain't even worth fixing, it hurts to throw it away.
Yeah.
Because it's like I'm throwing away some history right here.
Well, I got sentimental attachment to shit. Like, I got certain controllers that my dad or my grandpa bought me, and I'm like, I don't give a fuck if that thing's broke or not. It's staying with me. Because, at some point, it's all going to be a fucking relic anyways.
Yeah. Well,
I guess that's it for the meat.
It's time to step back in time with some more sensations from the abyss. It's our Let's Listen segment. What's tonight's track about, Law?
Tonight's track is from we talked about chip tunes a minute ago. Which this kind of, I guess, validates me being pissed off about the person being like, well, just because it wasn't programmed in NES, not chip tunes. How do you decipher, like, different chip tunes, like NES chip tunes, Sega Genesis? Because the processors are completely fucking different. Right. Which brings me to my next point. Sega Genesis had some really shitty music on some of their games.
Especially when he compared it to the Super Nintendo version. Like Earthworm Jim is a big one. Compare those two.
But very few Sega games actually had music, I think, that rivaled Super Nintendo.
Sonic is one.
Sonic is a great one. Dynamite Heady was just a random game. I remember it had some cool music. Just like kind of like upbeat ska sounding shit.
I liked that one game you covered, The Immortal. I liked the soundtrack to that.
Yeah. Well,
the darker, grittier stuff, Sega did good.
Yes. Anything that Sega did had kind of a metal or rock influence, I've always liked. Which brings me to tonight's clip. It's from a game called Chakin' the Forever Man.
Chakin' the Forever Man.
Chakin'. I've talked about it before. It's an insanely fucking difficult game.
It is so hard.
It's so a Dark Souls game for Sega.
Yeah, it's the Dark Souls of Castlevanias.
Yeah, the levels are fucking huge. The enemies are really fucking tough. And it doesn't tell you a whole lot of anything. It just kind of throws you in there. It puts you in like a fucking, like a void in space. It puts you in a sensational black abyss. And
you choose different levels, right?
You can pick which levels you want to go into. And the game's very dark. I mean, it's like
the main character looks like Eddie from Iron Maiden.
Just like him. And I think he was designed after Eddie pretty
I'm
much.
99% sure he was, because I remember seeing that, and I got up the picture of the Iron Maiden Killers album, and I put those two side by side. I was like, yeah, that's like the same fucking guy.
I'm not 100%, but I want to say maybe even the same person that does the Iron Maiden art done.
Maybe.
Because it's based on a comic book. I want to say it's a Japanese comic book, maybe. But it's just a real dark game, and it's got some really badass standout music in it. There's one level where you have to go to a hive and kill this thing called the
Dragonfly King?
Dragonfly King. I thought it earlier. I was like, I think the name of it's the Wasp Queen, but it's the Dragonfly King and King or Queen? King. Okay. Anyways, this level just has some like badass like power violence metal. I just imagine like if the band was playing this on stage, they would have a shitty wrestler that's been punched in the head like 50 times, and he just screams incoherent shit. He's just like, "When and more, gonna blow the bomb up," just saying stupid shit. There's a band I need to let you hear tonight that just like they got a wrestler that sings for him, and he just screams shit like he would yell at the crowd. That's just shredding behind it. But anyway, this is the song off that level, and I've always thought this was actually pretty badass. It's heavy for a Sega track.
I love that drum beat.
Yeah. I like that little synthesizer. Could you just not hear this on a fucking guitar? It's like riffing. So fucking metal. This sounds like background music to NPR's new show, like A Trip to Hell.
Yeah. Hello, Hell fans. Tonight we're burning in the ring of the 8th Scion.
Like this little minimalist drop off. So badass.
It is.
It's really fitting for this level because one of the cool things when you first start this level is like you're standing on a mountain and you can see like down mountain ranges below, and it's just like the parallax scrolling, like clouds and lightning and shit's just rolling by behind you, and this shit's like playing. Fucking badass.
Hell yeah.
Good stuff. I like that. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, it is. That's a great pick.
I was happy with that one. I looked up just the shitopedia of this game. It doesn't say anything about the Iron Maiden guy, but it did say they were planning a sequel for Dreamcast.
No shit.
That was later absorbed into the 2002 game Blood Omen 2.
Huh.
So that's kind of cool. There was a Game Gear version of the same game published. It features similar gameplay, but the level layouts are different, and other changes were to accommodate the weaker hardware. It does have a title screen synthesized voice choking the Forever Man, which the Genesis version did not. So now you know. Kind of cool.
Well,
we have no calls.
No calls.
Bitches. But we have a phone number you can call us at.
Yep.
682-777-GOOD. And in case you forgot, here's something to remind you.
682-777-GOOD. Dial the number, you know you should. Leave us a message, you know it gives us one.
Hardwood.
682-777-GOOD. Yeah.
I still really want to get in touch with Adam and get him to do a song that's like after Satan rapes everybody's dad.
Yeah.
It's just like the Bummer remix or something.
Very sorrowful.
Yeah. Like lots of violins and singing children and shit. That'd be awesome.
Singing about if only in the before times someone would have called into the podcast. The slow have been eaten by bears.
Like Gregorian chest.
Yeah. And now the pussies are stoned. You know, almost say like a Blind Guardian style song about that.
Just like the guitar slide, it just kicks in. It's like, now we march on to the darkness. We're taking our pussies back. 682-777-GOOD. That'd be badass.
Yeah, it would.
Maybe like we get Testament to do a song for us. Be kind of cool.
Hell yeah, it would. Yeah, check out the site. Update it. Tell me what you think. Tell me if anything's broken. Tell me if it's a piece of shit. Let me know.
Be honest. Honesty counts.
Yeah.
Be looking for more announcements from us for Game Fest. We'll be having them as soon as we get more shit concrete. We'll be back next week, of course. Anything you guys would like to hear for the 100th episode celebration bash thing, let us know.
Yeah.
Like you'd like to hear anything from the past redone, or got any questions about anything behind the scenes or any of that shit, let us know.
Yeah.
Hit us up at Brandon or Lyle at goodolegamers.com or podcast at goodolegamers.com.
Yep.
Hit us at our website, like Brandon said.
I've got to get me and Lyle's emails updated because we changed servers, so we got to...
Shit, we did.
So if nothing else, is do goodolegamers@gmail.com until we get our shit straightened out.
Yeah, do that. But you can message us on Facebook too, Good Ole Gamers Podcast. We're on Twitter. We're on all that shit.
Yeah.
There's handy, easy to use icons on the site that'll tell you how to get this audio gold.
If nothing else and you can't remember anything, go to the website, goodolegamers.com, and contact us. Fill out the form. It'll send it to us.
Yep. Easy as pie.
Yep.
No issues.
So, yeah, you will have to put in an email or some way for us to contact you back because it's a one-way communication using that.
Yeah, be sure to leave your contact information. That's key.
If you just type in the site, yeah, you fucking suck. I'm like, well...
Tell us something we don't know.
Yeah. At least leave me an email so I can call you a bitch, you know?
Yeah. Leave us an address if you're feeling frisky.
Yeah.
You hear that? That's his knuckles about to bust that ass. But anywho.
Miles got over 80 hours in Street Fighter. He will fuck you up.
No shit, man. I have a 14th degree black belt in Street Fighter 2. I'm not afraid to use it. Hide your grandmothers. I'll fuck them up too. Not literally. I love grandmothers. That's it. We'll be back next week. Like I said, hit us up and do all that shit. And until next weekend, game over, man.
Game over.
Reality shattered when a round home revealed to be square. A godly turtle taking us on a celestial voyage. Safe journey, Abyss fans.